My wife's a bookkeeper, okay? She's very good with numbers, and she handles the books. Okay? And so even though we do that together, you defer because that's your gifting, that's your... Anyway, but you still do it together. But I'm still the spiritual head. So God's going to hold me accountable for that. He's not going to hold her accountable. The supernatural part of love and unity is that not that we all agree. It's the fact that we don't agree and we still love and have unity. I know there's some people out there who believe that if you commit suicide, you can't go to heaven. Okay? And I want to correct that because that's not true. And I want to show you where this comes from. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to the Between Sundays podcast. We know you were watching just the other day. I'm sure you came back to watch the Friday edition, so thanks for joining us. And I'm your host, Dale Satrum. I'm here with my two great co-hosts, Katie Jones and Jeremy Lara.
We're ready to BS with you guys.
Yeah, we are.
Yeah.
We are ready to Between the Sunday with you because that's where we have to live the real life. And so today is our episode where we talk and answer questions.
Yeah, it's my favorite kind of episode.
It is kind of fun.
We love hearing from you guys.
Yeah,
so
we
much
do.
Fun. Yeah.
So don't stop writing in the questions.
Yep. Even if it's like we love the ones where it's advice and it's a situation or just what are your thoughts on this? What's a biblical perspective? I love it because I learn with you guys. So it's super fun for us.
It is. Well, we're all learning together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. How's everybody doing?
Good. Doing great.
Yeah.
It's Friday.
It's
By
Friday.
the time this comes out.
Friday's
So,
fun. We like Fridays.
Any
do.
fun weekend plans?
Going to Arizona for a week.
Oh, nice.
Spending some time with the family.
You're
for
gonna go find some
Thanksgiving.
sunshine.
Yeah, I know. Some good sun
Yeah,
over
but we
there in
hate you,
Arizona.
okay? So you go find that fun. Get a sunburn.
You know what?
I will.
I bet our BS peeps want to hear a little more about Jeremy. You're from Arizona, right?
I am, yeah.
Okay, yes. Born and raised?
Yeah, born and raised.
How
Well, I was
long-
born in California.
Okay.
Parents moved when I was 1 and then lived my whole life in Arizona.
Okay. What do you miss most about Arizona right now?
The sun.
The sun.
Of course.
The sun, yeah.
Because you've been in Oregon for how long?
little over 2 months now.
Okay.
Which is
That's
quick.
you're right in the middle of like the depression.
Yeah,
I've
it has
heard.
begun.
Depression and
I love it
like,
though. I don't.
yeah, do
I don't-
you?
It is. It's foggy. It's cool.
Yeah.
It's like 40 degrees this morning. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, well,
Honestly,
Oh,
that'll change.
yeah. Apparently so.
Not to be negative Nelly or anything,
Maybe
but
not.
yeah.
Hey, I think I'd be more depressed if it was sunny all the time.
Really?
I like the seasons. I do, especially Christmas and it's hot. That just seems
It never feels like Christmas there.
Yeah,
Mm-mm.
that's blasphemy. I don't know. No.
That's fun.
But I do wish we got more snow here, to be honest. I would love.
I'm glad
some
we don't get snow here, is what I'm hearing.
not
You
not
go
much.
over the
Every once in a
mountain.
while.
Okay.
We're more
good.
on like the wet side of the mountain. You
Mm,
go to the
yeah.
other side, like
Lots of snow,
Bend,
yeah.
Redmond, Sisters.
That's
they
where it
always
snows.
get it.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
A little jealous, to be honest.
I'm
too,
good.
But
I'm good.
You're good.
I
Well,
want to
You're not
shovel
a
all the
snow
snow.
fan?
enjoy the sun.
Yes, I will.
Hmm. Yeah.
I know you guys are jealous.
I am.
Yes.
I am a little bit. I'm trying not to be bitter, but that's okay.
Was it sunny in like Turkey when you went, or?
It was good weather. I mean, there were some cloudy days, but it wasn't. I think we had one day where it rained a little bit, but other than that, it was in the 60s. Some days were in the 70s. Yeah.
that's perfect for walking around.
Oh, it
and
really
doing what
was.
you
It was.
guys
Yeah,
are
it was
doing.
great weather.
Yeah.
No, can't complain about that at all. So, and then we got back from Turkey, and then 3 days later, my wife jumped on another plane, and she's in Mexico right now with her two
goodness.
sisters.
So fun.
Yeah, a sister
Girls
trip.
trip.
Girls trip in
Aw.
Mexico. I want to know
That's awesome.
when
Yeah.
my trip is. Okay, I mean seriously.
Yeah.
Do I get a trip to? I don't know about going to Mexico. I need a dude trip.
Yeah, there you
I don't know
go.
where.
Well,
Don't you think that's fair, right?
To the woods, yeah.
woods.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say
Maybe
that
to
sounds-
Alaska to go fishing or
Yes.
somewhere go fishing.
That is on my. I have been craving an Alaska trip.
All right.
I've never been, but I just feel like.
Alaska is amazing. You should go.
Yeah, it just the pictures look amazing.
They
They
have all
are
those
amazing.
cruises. No, I haven't. Mm.
Yeah,
You
the
guys haven't
cruises.
been?
That's a good way to go for sure.
Yeah, we've been up there. I don't know, 5-6 times.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, we have
What-
friends in Anchorage, so
Flex.
yeah.
What a flex.
What a what?
A flex. Oh no, we're
A
gonna
flex?
have to. We're,
See, I don't even know
We're
what.
gonna
What
have to
we're gonna
teach-
have to have a segment where Jeremy just update because even I am getting like, oh, what was it? I gotta tell you guys.
I didn't know what you're talking about. Okay,
a
so
flex
I bet you're
is
right.
Like a
That's
how do I-
flex.
When you're like
Bragging.
like
Low-key-
bragging there. Thank
low-key
you. Thank
bragging.
you. Yeah.
but in a like a
Mm.
like a flexing way.
Okay.
Almost. We're
Hold on.
almost there, guys.
Jeremy, okay, I'm gonna test you.
Oh, it's
to
so
see if
funny.
So you guys know I volunteer at FSM on Wednesday, so
Yeah.
I'm around the teens a lot, and I've never felt more old, to be honest. But this last week we were having a conversation, and one of the girls shared something that was on her heart, and I go, "Oh, that is really tough," and they were like, "Don't say that. That tough means it's good. You would say, oh, that's really hard." So apparently we can't say that's tough anymore because
Right.
for that situation, that's tough means like that's cool.
Okay.
Tough.
It's tough.
Hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm always hearing
Had you
things
heard
from
that?
I have, yeah.
Oh, geez.
I use that sometimes too. It's like, man, that's tough.
that's-
That's tough.
tough.
That's
Okay.
like,
It's throwing
that's
me
like
off.
dope. It's like saying dope.
Help me out,
Yeah.
Jeremy. Keep me current,
Yeah, I
buddy,
got you.
because
I'll keep you
I
current.
mean, now I got grandchildren who help me because
Yeah.
my eldest granddaughter just started going to FSM.
Yes. Love her.
She's so adorable.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay.
She's a hoot.
Yeah, but she keeps me updated.
Keeps you
She'll
updated?
give me, some new phrases. I can't remember what they are, but she's like, Papa, she drops the phrase and I'm like, what is that, sweetie? What does that mean?
Yeah. I had to have them explain the 6-7.
Oh, that one's
kids-
terrible.
I am like ready to just shoot my foot every
Yeah,
time
could
I
that
hear
go away?
Guys,
Yeah,
This whole
please,
6-7 thing,
yeah.
it would just go away.
I know. But the more I remember having those things in school, though.
I'm not going to say it's stupid, but
Well, it is.
It's stupid.
It is. I'll say it. It is.
Yeah, I
Dumb.
remember having weird little
6-7.
quirks and thinking it was really cool in middle school too. Yeah.
okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Can you show us how to do it?
What, 6-7? What?
Oh, you did a shimmy. I thought it was just a,
6-7?
like a
It is, yeah,
juggle.
yeah.
I don't know.
He's doing all the extra work there. He's doing
Whatever.
7-8.
He's doing
I'm an
the
old guy trying to be cool. It doesn't work, okay? Come on.
Okay,
That ship
Jeremy
sailed a
needs
long
his
time
own
ago.
segment to keep us updated because
Yes.
I'm apparently out of the loop now too.
You're too
See,
old to
I'm
be
getting
cool.
old,
He
yeah.
can still be cool. So
Wow,
we got
that's
one
crazy.
person who can still be cool in the group.
I told you guys, I can't remember if this was on air or not, but I told my kids because my birthday was a couple weeks ago, and I told them they were like, you're this age or whatever. I'm like, no, I'm trans age. I'm gonna be 25. I'm gonna identify as 25. My kids said that's not a real thing. I said you're right.
You're right. You got him trained.
Trained you
Good.
well, yes, but no,
That's
keep me
funny.
up to date. Keep us
Yes,
fresh.
I will,
Jeremy.
I will.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Especially this guy right
If
here.
this this
Yeah,
guy,
for
keep me
sure.
fresh. Yeah.
Okay, well, on to the next thing, which is your guys' questions.
Questions.
So we love hearing from you guys. So this first one says, I've been studying what the scripture says about women preaching and teaching, and I see some different perspectives. For example, Paul commended Phoebe as a deacon and a servant of the church in Romans 16, verses 1 through 2, and there were also women like Priscilla and others who played key roles in ministry. How do we understand those examples in light of passages like 1 Timothy 2:11 through 12 that seem to limit women's roles in teaching or preaching? I'd really like to hear how we interpret and apply that balance today. This is Petey's most favorite question of all time. He is so thrilled.
Oh, that's funny.
You guys, we have had this literally in our queue.
Uh,
We probably had 5 other people ask this question. I'm not even exaggerating.
You're just loving this, aren't you?
And listen, they deserve the backstory, okay? Petey, being the great leader he is, he's like, hey, this is a really big topic. And we, even as a staff, half of us are like, we can have scriptures that say why we think one way and half think something completely different. And they also have scripture to back up why they think that. So he was like, I really want to do this one really well. But it popped up again. Someone else asked it. He's like, let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Let's just do it.
Get it out of the way. But maybe at some point we'll do a more deep dive. But
Sure.
now you go. Now that I gave him the context, you feel free to.
No,
Take
it's
the stage here.
yeah. Thank you, Katie. It's not that I don't want to address the issue.
Right.
That's not the problem. I have a problem with it. So we'll address it, and then maybe we'll have a part 2 sometime, and maybe we'll have some people on that can kind of we can just represent both sides of this issue.
Yeah.
Because it's again, it's a great topic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very real. It's so let me just try to give some biblical perspective. So you've got 2 camps basically out there where you have some churches believe that women shouldn't be involved in leadership. They shouldn't speak in church. They shouldn't teach men. They shouldn't be pastors. They shouldn't preach. Okay, on and on. You have others on the other side who basically say women can do everything. And then I'm going to say maybe there's a third option. There's kind of a middle ground. Maybe there's people that kind of have a hybrid model.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's us.
Women can absolutely lead. I mean, the first worship leader was Moses' sister Miriam.
Mm.
So she led them in worship as they built the ark. And on that same day, she leads a bunch of men and women in that.
And you do have Old Testament examples of women
Deborah.
with great prominence and leadership, and they were leading men. I mean, Israel would go to Deborah. I mean, there's an example, So you do have examples of this. Now, sometimes context is everything. We don't have the context of the First Timothy passage. What was going on in Ephesus? What was going on in the church of Ephesus? In Corinth, when we were in Corinth, one of the things that we discussed with our guide and whatnot, the temple prostitutes, men and women, it was part of the worship of the gods at that time, and but they also had their heads shaved. Now, I didn't know this, but the temple prostitutes would shave their heads to identify themselves as the temple prostitutes. And so, could it be some of the things that Paul may have been referencing that we had no clue of? These, the temple prostitutes were coming. Some of them were getting to know Jesus. They're coming to the church, but now they have their heads shaved. There's association with being prostitutes, and is that some of the background of what Paul in that passage was talking about? Head coverings for women. They should have their head covering when they go to church. Well, is it there's a stigma, there's a distraction there. And so I just think there were a lot of dynamics going on in the early church that we just don't know about.
Yeah.
So,
and it's so important. Like context is.
Well, context is everything. You're right. So anyway, Paul talks about too that even the whole head covering issue, that there needed to be a symbol of authority. Well, what's that all about? And part of that is even within the Godhead, they're equal, right? But yet there's the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. There's kind of an order in the Godhead. And even Jesus says, I don't do anything unless the Father tells me. So he was submissive to the Father. The Spirit, Jesus says, I'm sending the Spirit. The Spirit was submissive to Jesus. I mean, so there's this order of things. And then you have the same order in the marriage, right? So the husband, he's not more equal. Husband and wives are equal in the marriage. I mean, Scripture even says that she's your equal partner in the gift of life. And yet, the husband has been given a spiritual headship. Doesn't mean he's more spiritual. Doesn't mean that he's better. It just means that God has given the husband a role. You must assume the role as a spiritual leader, the head of your family. Doesn't mean you make all the decisions, because sometimes our wives are better at some certain things than we are. And so we defer authority. Yes. My wife's a bookkeeper, okay? She's very good with numbers, and she handles the books. Okay? And so even though we do that together, you defer because that's your gifting, that's your, anyway, but you still do it together. But I'm still the spiritual head. So God's going to hold me accountable for that. He's not going to hold her accountable. He's going to hold me accountable. Okay, so you men just need to embrace that. So there's an order in the Godhead. There's an order in the marriage because it's the husband, it's the wife, and it's children. It's in that order. It's the Father, it's the Son, it's the Holy Spirit. It's in that order. Now, how does that order? How is that order represented in the church? The hybrid model, that's ours. We believe that order needs to be represented. What does that look like? Because why would God have an order in the Godhead, an order in the family, in the marriage, and then not have the same order represented in the church? It's inconsistent. That doesn't mean that women can't be leaders. It just means that needs to be represented somewhere. And I think that's what Paul is trying to refer to in 1 Corinthians. There needs to be that order, the order that exists in the Godhead and in the family, it needs to be represented in the church. They're all equal. So how is that represented? So and that's a unique perspective. I don't hear that perspective much from people because they want to be in one camp or the other.
Yeah.
I just think there's a way that God set things up. And I think that we just simply need to try to represent that. So we have people that operate in leadership positions here at Foothills, but they operate under my spiritual authority.
Yeah,
God's
I
given
think-
me spiritual authority. That's I'm the pastor of this church, and so as long as they operate under that authority, rock and roll. You want to operate outside of that authority, then that's where we time out. So-
What I love about Foothills specifically, too, specifically on this issue, I think it was like a year ago we got the first stream of these questions to this topic, and just kind of pulling the staff, and half was, totally like, yes, of course women can be pastors. The other half was like, no. The way that they each backed it up, and both sides were like, but it's not really a hill I'm willing to die on.
Right.
So which I really appreciate, because I think that's such a great example for a lot of other topics in the Bible that
Right.
maybe we divide on, but it's not worth a hill to be died
Oh,
on.
absolutely.
So, and I think this might be one of those, and I think both sides are valid. I'm very neutral on this one.
Yeah.
So I don't really have a
Yeah.
strong opinion either way, but
Like I heard once, it's, between a husband and a wife, it's mutual submission. You both are, in a sense, serving. Well, not in a sense, but you are serving one
Yeah.
another every day. The same way it goes for that, the way that we serve our women leaders here, and the way that they serve us.
When you have humility, it all works.
Absolutely.
I think when
yeah.
people are vying and pushing for positions,
Mm,
the whole opera falls apart, because that's pride, and it's the flesh, and and it's hard to keep that out. I think that it's difficult because churches have reputations of, I think, suppressing women in church history. Okay,
Yeah.
I mean, it's you got to own it. So I think sometimes that there's a reaction to that. So then we push the pendulum, we swing it too far, in terms of going back to mutual humility. When you have humility, everything works, but it's difficult to embrace that. So anyway,
it's a great topic.
Yeah.
It might be a longer.
and we didn't solve
part
it.
too.
I don't think you're ever going to solve it. I think that believers do need to quit fighting over issues, whatever the issues are. We may have some different convictions on things, and that's okay.
Absolutely. Well,
Let's keep loving each other and walking in humility and unity with each other.
what's the verse? Is it John, where it talks about the world will know you based off of how you love each other?
Yeah, the world's going to know you are disciples because you love one
calls
another.
us to unite multiple times.
Yeah.
It keeps sticking out to me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's definitely.
What Jesus prayed for in John 17, Jesus said that may they be so perfected in unity. He wants, may they have the unity that may they have the unity that we have, Father. I mean, that's crazy unity. The unity that Jesus and God have. He says, that's the kind of unity I want for them. And may they be perfected in unity, so the world will know. So this whole thing of loving each other and unity and whatnot, that is what the world should see. And I think that the supernatural part of love and unity is that not that we all agree, it's the fact that we don't agree and we still love and have unity. That's the miracle. Not is that we're going to have diverse opinions. That's okay. It's that at the end of the day, I still love you and I choose to be unified with you. That's the miracle. That's what the world can't do.
Anything else on this big one before I ask?
Big
our last
question
one?
for
Yeah,
sure.
great question. Thanks so much for sending that in to us. So much fun to talk about. Okay, last question. Hi, PD and Katie and Jeremy. At the end of the last season, you talked about how death is something that has its place and that we shouldn't fear it. I want to add to that and ask you guys, what do you think about medical assisted suicide? I know that it is illegal in most states, but not others. I feel like maybe it has a place for those who are suffering and need to go to be with God. I know of someone who has had the same disability as me, but worse, who chose to end her life this way. I sometimes wonder if it's okay in God's eyes. I know that we are all always welcomed if we believe. I just want to know what your thoughts are.
It's an emotional question too. If you've had to watch loved ones die slowly, and for a believer, the act of dying, that's not the issue. It's the process that people struggle with. Okay. And again, if you've watched somebody just, waste away through cancer or some other disease. It is horrible. So I think just because I've been on the side of watching this happen so many times, very, very sympathetic towards this. And some Christians get really black and white and adamant, and and it's like, you got to just calm down. This is an emotional issue. So maybe we ought to ask a basic question: why is it wrong? See, some people are like already, how could you say that? Well, let's just pause. I mean, let's ask, why is this issue? I realize all of the ramifications that it can get abused. Let's take that off the table. Just the issue itself. A person is dying of cancer or whatever debilitating disease. They don't want to be a burden to their family. They don't want to die slow. It's 100% you're going to die. You're a month away, 2 months away. You're going to choose how you leave this world instead of dying slowly on hospice or whatever else, on morphine, and you want to go out with a little more dignity than that. And so why is that wrong? And so it's a question, even for the person who wrote this question, those listening. Why is it wrong? What biblical verse, what biblical principle, what's the scripture you're going to use to say that it is wrong to take your own life under these circumstances? Okay, let's make that really clear. Okay, we're not talking about suicide in general because you're depressed and because of life. Okay, we're talking, it's the end of your life. You're dying. You are dying. You're soon to die. So,
well, I think this is.
Yeah, Jeremy's over there looking at me like,
Yeah.
you're asking me? I don't know.
That's a hard question.
It's a really hard
Yeah.
question, and I think the gray area does matter. So, because we can say it's this one situation, which you're absolutely right. As I'm to answer your question, the devil's advocate answer that
please,
my
yeah.
mind immediately went to was "thou shalt not kill." Like just the basic principles. So because it's still you're taking things into your own hands, and it's a life. It's your life. But because I agree with you on this, I completely understand why I don't want my family to see me suffer terribly or
Right.
or extend something where it's going in one direction. There's no hope. I can totally understand it. But I do think the gray area matters if we're talking about laws being made and things like that, because once you make this legal, and I want to say that they did it in Canada, and it was a very slippery slope for people with disabilities or people with mental health problems, because hey, now it's a free for all. It's in who
I agree.
decides.
Yes, and I agree with all the slippery slope arguments.
Yes.
I'm just trying to boil it back to the
Right.
most basic element: is it wrong? Is it biblically wrong? Because you quoted a Ten Commandment, okay, almost correctly.
Thou shalt not murder. Sorry, I said kill. Huh?
Well, yeah, but yeah,
you're right.
does
There's
the
a
Bible?
difference.
There is,
Yes,
because does the Bible condemn killing?
that's true. Yep, I did say kill.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And I say people, well, of course it does. Are you sure?
Yeah, it does say murder. Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right.
And I'm not splitting hairs
Is
because they're
it
different.
murder when you're intentionally taking a life? Is that like, I mean, if we're gonna establish, murder, that's what
Right.
is that the proper definition? Intentionally taking a life is murder.
Well,
Killing could be
believe
very
so.
broad. Yeah. So
yeah,
So-
it has
I
to
think
be
it falls
malicious.
along that
It has to be,
line.
if I'm protecting my family and I take a life, that's not
Yeah.
murder.
yeah, that
You
would
know.
be killing. No big. No, I'm just kidding.
I guess they needed to go see Jesus.
No,
Okay,
I'm
so
I guess the
Yeah.
hard thing is, are you stopping the Lord from possibly using them a little bit more?
It's a great
I mean,
question. Yeah.
I think of Jonah in a story. Jonah 4, verse 3 and 4. Therefore now, O Lord, please take my life from me, for it is better for me to die than to live. And the Lord said, do you do well to be angry? And the Lord doesn't kill him. I mean, the Lord continues to use Jonah, and obviously we don't know the final ending of Jonah, but something like that where Jonah's like, just kill me. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. But the Lord still has plans for him, Who knows for how much longer, but just an interesting
Yeah,
No, no, you
that's
bring up a good
great
point.
point.
And that is a great argument to this, is because are you removing the sovereignty of God from your life by taking your own life? I mean, so maybe that's an unanswerable question, but it's a question because that's what you brought up. Is and Jonah could have taken his own life. That is a grumpy prophet. He is the most unhappy prophet ever. Okay, Jonah. I like that guy. Okay, but he's so disgusted at the end of that book. He's just, I just want to die. Okay, I mean, so. But he's not the only prophet who said that. I mean,
Right?
Elijah said the same thing. God,
Yeah.
I'm done. I
I
just
was
want to die.
thinking.
I mean, so um, Saul, he fell on his sword
Right.
as the Philistines were closing in the Old Testament during a battle because he didn't want the Philistines to take him or abuse him, and so he committed suicide. Not very successfully though, because he was still living afterwards. But you know,
Right.
you don't ever see anything in the story that condemns that behavior. Okay, it wasn't written to do that, but you do see examples of that where that wasn't ever condemned or it wasn't ever looked upon as a negative thing. It was almost an honorary. It was honorable to do that. Um,
Samson. Although
Samson
he
took his
went-
own life.
Yeah, he went out.
Went
Blaze
out.
of glory.
He went out in a blaze of glory. With all the Philistines dying around him.
Uh-huh,
Okay.
uh-huh.
Um,
Yeah, this is a gray one.
Well,
I
it
can
is.
understand.
like I
Yep.
said, it's very emotional. It's again, if you haven't been on the bedside of somebody, I mean, over the course of months or years, and watching somebody die very, very slowly, I think it might be really easy to be real black and white and judgmental with this topic. But if you've been there and you've seen it multiple times, and I know, even as I think about my own life. I wouldn't want my kids to have to deal with me, right? They deal with me already. But you look at that as a parent, or and that's not you could go there really easy.
Yes. I will say though, the different perspective I have on that specifically, Dale, is sometimes I think through that type of caregiving, um, you have almost like a taste of really giving up that sense of self. And I
Hmm.
see it, and it's a different situation because as a parent,
Hmm.
that doesn't appeal to me either. But my niece has Rett syndrome,
Hmm.
an awful, awful disease where she's fully in there, but she can't use anything. She can't use her hands. She can't talk.
Yeah.
But she's there, and to see my sister, take such beautiful care of
Right.
this being, and even Amy has said like she's given me more than I could have ever given her
Right.
because she literally is like a piece of heaven, like just that full care without she doesn't ask for anything in return.
Right.
It's just a really and she could explain it and articulate it way more beautifully and profound than I am right now, but there's something about us as human beings realizing our worth is in being, it's not in doing, which is
Right.
hard for our personalities.
Oh yeah.
So that's
Mm.
probably, it's
Well,
really
sure.
unappealing to me to have
You know,
people take care of me. But when I think of if I have to take care of my parents, that's another way for me to like get closer to Jesus too, and to serve them in that way too.
Right.
So, just another.
No, I appreciate the both of you bringing up that. I'm kind of sitting here playing devil's advocate a little bit just because I'm pushing buttons,
Yeah, it's
but-
good. It's a good.
But I
to think
think it's important that again we need to consider, are we removing the sovereignty of God, and then what is God teaching us through the process on both ends? Those who do care for us and us allowing ourselves to be cared for. Is God ever done working in our life? Is God ever done molding us and shaping us? I mean, all of that is part of His growth, His sovereignty, is part of His work in our life. So, so suicide would be taking that away from people, from God, from what He's doing, And then, of course, I know there's some people out there who believe that if you commit suicide, you can't go to heaven. Okay, and I want to correct that because that's not true, and I want to show you where this comes from. Where does that belief comes from? It comes from a misunderstanding of a biblical passage in 1 Corinthians 3. I'm going to read it. He says, "Don't you realize that all of you together are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God lives in you? God will destroy anyone who destroys this temple. For God's temple is holy, and you are that temple. And you're going, see right there, it says. That is a misunderstanding. You think that passage is talking about the individual. It is not. It is talking about the collective group of believers, the church in Corinth. That is not written to the individual. Now, let me read it again. So you realize that all of you together are the temple of God. He is talking about the church. All the people there in Corinth together, you are the temple of God. The Spirit of God lives in you collectively. The Spirit of God is in your midst. He lives in you individually. He lives in you as a church. God will destroy anyone who destroys this temple. Who is the temple? The church. The church. So those of you who cause division in the church, do you realize how upsetting that is to God? That is a serious and sober thing to be divisive. And that is what Paul's talking about here in this passage. He says, you do not destroy the church. You make him angry when you do. All right? And he says, for God's temple is holy. The church is holy. And that's what you are. Puts a different spin on it, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's not talking about the individual. It's talking about the church. So that is a misunderstanding of that passage. It has nothing to do with suicide. It has everything to do with unity and getting along. So there's nothing in the Bible that says that God won't forgive that. And, a believer who chose that route, is it a sin? Yes, maybe, I suppose. Does God forgive it? Well, yeah, that's what the cross was all about. It's forgiven, past, present, and future. So anyway, so there.
Great question.
Yeah,
Do
it's a
you
great
have
question.
anything to add, Jeremy?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well,
All right,
I don't have anything to add either. So
good stuff. Thanks for those questions.
Yes.
Keep 'em coming.
Sorry to end on that. I mean, that's a good note to end on.
That's
but
nice and heavy.
I
Let's
didn't have a
go.
lighter question for you guys, so you'll have to send them in. Send us some stuff we can put at the end of the deep questions.
But hey,
Yeah.
this is what Between the Sundays is all
Yeah,
about. Sometimes they're
absolutely,
serious,
yeah.
deeper questions, and we love the fact that you're writing them in. So thanks for that.
Yeah, absolutely. We love hearing from you guys. So.
Yeah.
All right. Well, PD will be back in a few days to hang out with you for your Monday momentum. and
Don't
then-
miss the momentum for Monday. Come
That's
on.
Right.
All right.
Great way to start your week.
All right.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right. We'll
Thanks
see
for
you guys
watching.
next time.
Yeah.